Well, now it's time to loot with an non-stop day. It's safe to say we'll have some fun today on Geek World Radio.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Geek World Radio. So Valentine's Day is coming up, and as we all know, Valentine's Day is a day for love, affection, and of course, evil. So, for today's show, we are going to talk about some of the great and often hilarious villainous couples in the world of geek.
Ooh.
So, let's get on to our Valentine's Day special.
Ooh, I like that anime. So, first off, we have to talk about the number one villainous relationship, the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yes. Now, the Joker and Harley Quinn are a very dysfunctional couple. So, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about the start of Harley Quinn?
Sounds good, anime. Okay, so Batman the Animated Series came out in the 90s. Paul Dini, one of the writers, decided he was going to create a girlfriend for the Joker. And thus, he created Harley Quinn, based on his friend Arlene Sorkin, who also did the voice of her.
Oh, Mr. J.
Nice. Of course, Harleen Quinzel was a psychiatrist who became obsessed with the Joker. So she was obsessed with the Joker, and he kept her around and usually tried to kill her, or at least leave her for the Batman to arrest. It happened a lot.
It's true, although he was often kind of helpless when she wasn't there. I mean, he couldn't even find his socks when she left him.
That's true. That's a good point. And they did have sort of a cute relationship in the animated series, and definitely one of the more pure versions of that relationship, even though he did try to kill her a few times.
Often.
I mean, he is the Joker, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, in the newest issues of Batman, you know, like the Joker, like, cut off his face and stuff like that, it's all kinds of messed up. Like, there's this, like, revelation that the Joker made that, like, there's been a bunch of Harley Quinns. He's got a basement full of, like, dead bodies of women that were his female sidekicks, but Harleen Quinzel was, like, the only one who actually escaped before he killed her.
And whether or not that's even the truth, because he could just be messing with her because he really likes to mess with her.
He really does. He gave her hyenas rabies on purpose just to mess with her. And then she ended up biting his tongue off, yet luckily he could still talk.
Yeah.
Still tell jokes. But I have to say that this is definitely the big one of all the villain relationships that everyone knows about. And it's really cool that Harley Quinn, who is such a giant part of the DC universe, especially the Batman universe now, was created specifically for the cartoon Batman the Animated Series.
Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. And also it's to be noted that a lot of fan fiction likes to use the fact that every time the Joker kicks Harley Quinn out, she goes with Poison Ivy. And, you know, we all know what fan fiction does from there. Nice.
So next up, we're going to talk about Light and Misa from the anime and manga Death Note. Now, Death Note is about this kid named Light, and he finds this book. And this book is called a Death Note. Well, the thing with the Death Note is that if he writes somebody's name in it, that person is going to die. How is this going to happen? Well, the Death Note is attached to something called a Shinigami, which is essentially like a death god.
Like a Grim Reaper, sort of.
Well, Light isn't the only one with one of these Death Notes.
No.
Now, he does use it a few times, and he starts off, you know, just killing bad guys, killing criminals and stuff.
Yes.
But, like I said, he's not the only one with a Death Note. And this girl, Misa, who is actually a model,
Yeah, good work, Light.
she figures out that someone else has a Death Note, and she seeks to find who it is.
Now, this is the thing about Misa. You know, she's a model, she's beautiful, she's blonde, she's a little bit of a ditz.
Yeah.
But she is pretty smart. She was able to find Light in the first place when no one else could.
Yeah, she is sort of resourceful. She also, she knows that their relationship, once they get into the relationship, she knows that it's not real. She gets it. But she's kind of desperate for the attention, for the someone that at least sort of understands what she's going through. And so she's willing to be the tool of his master works, I guess you could say.
But basically they have this really interesting relationship where they sort of play house, and it's to his best interest to make it seem like he has this really cool, popular girlfriend, but all he's really concerned about is basically trying to be a tyrant and a god, and essentially rule the world with fear.
Plus, since both of them have Death Notes, it makes it so that he can have an alibi.
Exactly. So, good work there, Light. Okay, anime, what's up next?
Okay, from the world of cartoons, the Venture Brothers, we've got the Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend, aka Dr. Mrs. the Monarch. So this relationship actually started off when they were both henching for Phantom Limb. They met, and Phantom Limb was actually the boyfriend of Dr. Girlfriend, who at the time was known as Queen Etheria. So, they were both henching for the Phantom Limb, and they fell in love So the Monarch essentially stole Dr. Girlfriend from another villain.
Ooh, I didn't know. It's like a soap opera.
So the two of them, they got this romance going, they love each other and stuff, but there is a problem.
Uh-oh.
At one point, a couple of the Monarch's men write a tell-all book. In this tell-all book, there's lies and pictures of more lies. There's a picture of Dr. Girlfriend sitting on another villain's lap. This leads to many fights about Dr. Girlfriend's past. And after many of these fights, Dr. Girlfriend leaves him. She leaves him and she goes back to Phantom Limb.
How could she?
Well, this all leads to the Monarch getting framed, going to evil prison. So he goes to the prison, which, obviously is all Dr. Girlfriend's fault. Well, after an entire season long of them not being together, they get back together because they are truly in love. But under a couple conditions. First off, the Monarch has to make Dr. Girlfriend a full partner.
Oh.
Yeah, no more number 2. Plus, he has to stop his vendetta against Dr. Venture.
What?
Yeah, we don't know why. Well, eventually, they go to get married, but actually on their wedding day, it's sabotaged by Phantom Limb.
No way. Oh, man, the drama never stops.
Never stops. Well, that's okay, because the Evil Guild sees how great they are together and grants them the equivalent of an Evil Guild, marriage. So that's when she becomes Dr. Mrs. the Monarch. And they continue their pursuit of villainy together.
Isn't life grand?
So let's move on to our next couple.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to the Power Rangers universe. Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed.
Oh, boy. Okay, so Rita Repulsa was the main villain in the very first season of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. She's an evil witch. She wants world domination. Yeah. Basically, she was in a space dumpster for 10,000 years, anime.
Well, yeah, you'd want to get some revenge and have some world domination, too, if you were in a dumpster for all those years.
Exactly. She gets out of the space dumpster and she's like, you know what? I am going to take over the first planet that I see. Unfortunately for us, it was Earth. And so basically she goes, and she's always trying to take over Earth, but it never works out. And so she's always talking about how she's like the empress of the universe, right? But actually, Lord Zed shows up, and she is only Lord Zed's henchman. Lord Zed is the actual emperor of the universe. He goes, hey, you know what, Rita? I don't like what you're doing. You haven't beat up these teenagers yet. So he takes away her magic, makes her very tiny, and throws her in a space dumpster again.
Wait, she's back in the space dumpster?
Back in the space dumpster.
Man.
Now, Rita's resourceful. She gets out of the space dumpster, and she's like, I'm gonna get my revenge. She goes, A, makes a love potion. Ooh. B, gets some skin cream to make her look younger, thus replacing the first Rita actress with the second Rita actress.
Oh, that's funny.
There's 3 in all anime.
Huh.
And basically then she goes, uses a love potion, and the two of them fall in love, and they get married, and she decides, I'm not going to even do magic anymore, but I'm going to be teammates with Lord Zed, and they have all kinds of wacky adventures trying to kill those teenagers.
Yes. Now, at some point, Lord Zed is actually given an antidote to the love potion.
Yeah.
But you know what we all find out? That he really does love Rita.
That's so sweet, anime.
Villainous love. So there's actually a reason that this relationship happened.
Oh.
This is something from behind the scenes. Lord Zed was actually deemed too scary for the young audience, and so they figured, what's the best way to deal with that? Let's put him in a wacky relationship. Hence, Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa.
Yep, exactly. It worked out. All of a sudden, it became sort of like Everyone Loves Raymond versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. All right, anime, who's next?
Well, we're going to move on to a different kind of relationship. This is our first villainous lesbian relationship.
Ooh.
Scandal and Knockout from the DC Universe.
Yeah, okay, so Knockout, she decides she's going to join this supervillain group called the Secret Six. There already is Scandal Savage. Now, she's kind of a sexy, villainess too. So two of them are like, you know what? Let's mess up some heroes and have some sweet lesbian love. Which, by the way, is a great idea for anybody.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Anybody. Okay, so basically the two of them, they get in this relationship really early, but then there's this whole thing where they're fighting, right? And then Knockout gets shot with this bomb essentially. And then Scandal's all like, no, I will stay with you. And Knockout pushes her away, and she's like, we will see each other in the afterlife. Boom! Explosion. Scandal's like, no, my love is gone. She runs over and she's like, oh, look, she's okay. Yeah, she's all burned up and messed up and stuff, but she's still alive. And that's all that matters, anime.
Yeah, because love will conquer being burned.
Exactly. So everything from there seems hunky-dory. Unfortunately, Scandal forgot to DTR. She did not define the relationship, anime.
Yes, and this leads to a little bit of a problem, because Knockout doesn't really understand how relationships work, and she gets it on with Deadshot.
Yes, exactly. So now Scandal walks in on the two of them. Awkward. And basically from there, she's like, hey, That's not cool. We're supposed to be in a relationship together. Knockout's like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like we are in a relationship, but what? I can't have sex with someone else?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I got sexy pants. What's going on here?
My name is Knockout. Come on.
I know, it's true. She should have thought about that before she got involved with her. But Scandal, after that, you know what? She's like, bygones be bygones. She's still my girlfriend. It's all good. Okay, so of course, as bad people do, they're always getting in scrapes. They're always getting in fights, anime. But this time, Knockout, not only does she get hurt, she dies.
Well, it makes sense. She was once part of the Suicide Squad.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. Scandal is heartbroken, anime.
So, her friends in the Secret Six, they decide they're going to cheer her up with what might be one of the dumbest moves ever. They decide they're going to get a stripper, but not just a stripper. They're going to get a stripper and have the stripper dressed like Knockout.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what real friends would do, but, you know, I guess they are all evil, so...
I mean, it's probably the nicest thing an evil supervillain group could do, isn't it? She met the stripper, and they start getting into a relationship with one another. Weird, strange, but you know what? That's okay.
Hey,
it's comic books.
Even in times of hurt, people can still fall in love.
You know what, anime? This whole comic run really makes me want to see a DC Universe version of the L Word.
That could be pretty sexy.
That would be totally, totally awesome. So basically they're in a relationship, right? All is good. But then, of course, like always happens in every comic book ever, Knockout is resurrected.
What?
She comes back, and now it's like, wait a second, my dead girlfriend is back? This stripper that looks like my dead girlfriend is here? What am I gonna do?
Well, you know what she does?
What?
She goes, hey, Knockout, how about you and me and this stripper? We all get in a relationship together.
Yeah, and not only that, she wants them to be married. Like, all like big love style. And so Knockout goes, seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, and the stripper apparently also goes, yeah, I'm down for that.
No problem. And so then they get ambushed. Knockout gets blasted in the face by a hero. She's laying there dying. The two of them hold hands. And Scandal calls her her wife. And thus the relationship of Scandal and Knockout ends.
Yeah, don't know what happened to the stripper, but
No.
I'm sure she was fine.
I'm sure she was quite alright, exactly. So anime, there's only one left, and we decided to leave one very tragic, one very Romeo and Juliet-esque one for the end.
Yes, we're talking about Monsieur Malat and the Brain.
So this, of course, is from the DC Universe, the Doom Patrol. Basically, the Brain was this super smart scientist, and he decided he's going to do all these testing on animals, and he's going to make them super smart.
Yeah, that's how you know he's a villain. I mean,
Exactly.
That is how you know he's a villain. Testing on animals.
Exactly. How could you? How could you? Not even with shampoo and cosmetics, but with, like, making them smarter, like Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So basically, he takes this French gorilla, and he gives him the IQ of 178. Genius level, okay? And he educates him for years and years and turns him into his personal assistant, right? Now, the Brain, not everything is going okay in his atmosphere, because he has a colleague who's very jealous of him.
Right.
And so, Darkman style, his colleague blows up his lab, destroying the Brain's body, but the Brain survives.
That's awesome.
His colleague takes the Brain, puts it in a jar, and he's like, I'm going to do something nefarious with this. But Monsieur Malat, he's brilliant. He is a French Marxist guerrilla anime. He goes and he saves the Brain.
Wow.
Yes. And so after he saves the Brain, he puts him as part of this network, right? And so they create this supervillain group.
So he jacks him into a computer is what you're saying.
Pretty much. And so they create a supervillain group called the Brotherhood of Evil. So later on, Monsieur Malat finds one of Robot Man's bodies. And he's like, this is perfect. I can put the Brain in him. So he puts the Brain in there, right? And while the Brain is in the robot body, he professes his undying love to Monsieur Malat.
Aw, the love of a brain and a gorilla.
I mean, this is beautiful. And then Malat says, I too love you. And this is a beautiful relationship. But of course, every beautiful relationship, much like Romeo and Juliet, is destined to tragedy, anime, because Robot Man's body is gained sentience, and he's like, I'm never letting a Brain take me over again. And the self-destruct sequence starts, and right as that beautiful gorilla and that beautiful Brain and robot body kiss, boom! He explodes.
Oh, is that the end?
That is not the end. It's just the beginning. And so, Monsieur Malat, he gets the Brain, and the Brain is still there. It's not destroyed yet. He puts it back in a jar. They go on their merry way. Then from there, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's clone some human bodies, and then you can have a real body. And so the Brain does this, and he puts himself in a human body. Everything's going to go great. They can live together forever. Now, unfortunately, the body starts deteriorating, and right before the body dies, Monsieur Malin does the only thing he could do, Anime.
What?
He rips his head off.
Okay.
And that way he can put the brain back in a jar.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So later
beautiful.
on,
This love, I've got to tell you.
this love is beautiful.
This love is
isn't it?
beautiful.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so later on, there's this comic series where all these villains of the DC Universe get sent to this different planet, right?
Okay.
And so Monsieur Malin and the Brain, they end up there with like Gorilla Grodd and the Joker and all these other characters, right? So while they're all at this camp of these super villains, Monsieur Malin's like, hey, Gorilla Grodd, check it, man. We're both gorillas. We're both badass. We could run this town. And Gorilla Grodd's like, ha ha ha. You're just an absurd science experiment. I would never team up with you. And Monsieur Malin was like, what? Me? I'll kill you, you bastard.
Leave it to Gorilla Grodd to be gorilla racist.
Exactly. And so the two of them get in a fight. And Monsieur Malin, you know what? I don't know if love made him soft or Gorilla Grodd is just a badass.
Yeah.
But Gorilla Grodd was just like pummeling him, right?
Well, I mean, considering Monsieur Malin was created to be a super smart gorilla and the assistant of the Brain, you know, it makes sense that maybe he wouldn't be able to fare very well in a fight.
It's true. He was a lover, not a fighter. And so right before Gorilla Grodd, he gets the kill blow in, the Brain shows up and he pleads. He's like, dude, I love this gorilla. Please don't kill him. And so Gorilla Grodd is like, you know what? That's a good point, the Brain. And then he picks up the Brain in his little thing and starts beating Monsieur Malin to death with the Brain, breaking his containment unit, and now the Brain is outside on the ground, Monsieur Malin is dying on the ground, and right before they both die, Monsieur Malin says, well, at least I'm happy that we can be together finally in the afterlife.
Wow.
It is like, I'm sorry, but I am sick and tired of Romeo and Juliet being taught at every school. It should be the ballad of the Brain and Monsieur Malin.
I 100% agree.
Because it is far more tragic.
It really is.
And I think more insightful than anything that William Shakespeare wrote.
And it has far more gorillas.
Far more gorillas. At least two. And
Yeah.
they're both awesome.
Yeah.
Good point, Anime. Well, that's it, guys. That's it for our Valentine's Day. Anime, it was beautiful, wasn't it?
Oh, it was pure love and villainy.
Exactly. Guys, thanks so much for watching us. We'll be back next week with a new episode of Geek World Radio. If you'd like to listen to a radio show, it's on every week on Indie 100 and The Point.
Plus, you can get in touch with us by sending us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com and check out our website, geekworldradio.com.
Okay, guys, hope you have a great Valentine's Day. Bye!
Well, now it's time to meet with an non-stop day. It's safe to say we'll have some fun today on Geek World Radio.